Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Teach Different podcast. We have a really cool quote tonight. Paulo Coelho, the famous author of international acclaim of The Alchemist from 1988. He's 77 years old, and he really didn't publish a lot of things that were popular until later in his age. But then when he hit this book, it just took off. We're going to take a quote, an idea from that book as the basis of our podcast tonight. So we're excited about that. And we have a guest, Matt Sundermier, who is in residential real estate in the Folsom, California area. He's going to be weighing in and talking about his background, and he's going to work with the method. And as we know, the method, we got that quote. You're going to love the quote, by the way. Very, very deep. And I think it's something that everybody can connect with in their life, which is always really important. We're going to do that claim. We're going to, if any kind of storytelling comes in, what does the quote mean to you? How does it relate to your life? Make it meaningful. And then we're going to politely, but forcefully push against it and think about a counterclaim to the quote. Another way to look at the world. I mean, we love what Coelho is going to say, but it's always important to keep that half of your brain waiting to invite a new diverse idea so it doesn't get stuck thinking the same way. And then those questions, those organic questions that will come up periodically, are always bear a lot of fruit. So there you have it. Here we go. And by the way, The Alchemist, I have not read The Alchemist. I've heard about it a lot, but after this podcast, I think I'm picking it up. It's a fascinating story about a boy who has this dream, and he's led to Egypt in the pyramids because of people telling him to be there, and there's a treasure there. And when he gets there, he learns some things and ends up making his way back home. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it is a fantastic, I just read a quick summary of it, and it's something definitely to check out.
And
so
Dan,
here we go.
Let me ask something very quick before you
Sure.
start. Matt, your last name, Dan said Sundermier. I'm going to say it's Sundermier.
2 points for Steve. Yeah.
Sundermier.
Yeah, when you have a last name like Sundermier, though, you politely reply however it gets pronounced. So I've heard it Sundermier probably more times than Sundermier. I never correct anybody. No hard feelings, Dan. But since you asked, Steve, I was told the family's name is Sundermier.
Sundermier.
Okay, and we can connect with that, Matt. As Steve and I, we were mistaken for each other for 18 years until we separated and went to college. So all good. Okay, here we go. Here's our quote. I'm going to read it twice, Matt, and then you're going to take a stab at it. When you really want something, all the universe conspires to help achieve it. When you really want something, all the universe conspires to help achieve it. Matt, welcome to the Teach Different podcast. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me, both of you. Yeah, I mean, the quote, when you read the book, Dan, you'll come to learn that it's more of a mantra throughout the book. It's repeated multiple times. So it's really a cornerstone of this book that is this fictional story, but it's like almost kind of like in biblical ways, it's a self-help book at the same time, right? A lot of people take The Alchemist as a self-help book. And I've, since being a young adult, have been introduced to this idea. I mean, if you're a person of faith, you can obviously wrap this into your faith, but you don't have to be as well. And a dear friend that I had who was not a person of faith at all had it on the top of his computer screen every day. It said, "Clear intentions are compelling on the universe," which is kind of parallel to this quote from The Alchemist. So I think, some people could dismissively cast this aside, like, this is Disney wish upon a star kind of talk. But I truly believe that the universe is there to help you help yourself, right? You can't just sit around and wait for your personal destiny to show up on your doorstep. You have to go get it. You have to stay focused on it. And The Alchemist, those of you who have read it understand this, is it's not going to be a steady progression towards your destiny. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be hardships, but without you really wanting it, and without you really making that broadcast or that statement to the universe, you're going to have a hard time finding it by keeping that desire secret or masked, or flat out ignored because you're afraid that it might not come true. So I do think the universe is out there to make things happen for you when you have those clear intentions.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy, in a way, right? Where that phrase came from. Yeah, if you don't put something out there and stay intentional about it and keep wanting it through all the obstacles, if you're not determined, you're not going to allow the universe to get on your side. And it's ready to get on your side if you're the one that sticks to something. It is a little bit of faith. I know what you mean by that, Matt, but I can also see it as a self-determination call as well. It's powerful. And I buy it. I buy this quote. My first thought is, yes, I believe this. So it's compelling to me.
I agree. Free will is what comes to my head. Philosophy, pursue something. That reality is a product of your choice as much as it is unexpected things that happen to you. That you can move the universe with your will and with your intention and your capacity to find your own purpose. If you're ready to do that, then you make, maybe another way to say it is, you make your own luck. You're not, a lot of people will say, oh, you're really lucky. Well, no, you had your head in the right spot and you were there when the universe was listening. That's kind of what it's saying to me as well.
That's good. You make your own luck. And now I'm thinking about Teach Different. Matt, I think I told you this. We've been around since 2017. And well, we know what happened in 2020. Now we're hitting a stride with Teach Different where things are very clear when we speak to people. It's easy to talk about what we do. We see all the great benefits of the mental health, in having better conversations. And it's getting easier and easier to talk about what we do. Whereas when we started, it was harder to explain it to people and explain it to yourself what it is that you're doing. And I bring this up because of the luck idea. Because you stay in the game long enough, and if you really want something to come to be, after a while, the universe does get used to you almost, and it becomes natural what you're doing. And it's not as hard to get up on a Monday and realize you've got a lot of things to do for it. All of a sudden it becomes easier. And I feel like that's partly what we've experienced at Teach Different. What do you think of that, Dan? It's not that it was ever something we wanted to quit, but it was very difficult to start. And now it's much more natural.
Yeah, I would agree. Matt, do you have any kind of story like that in your life where you've really pursued something and all of a sudden the universe was aligning with you?
Yeah. I can't take the credit for being the dreamer in my life or in my family. I live here in Folsom. I grew up in Folsom, graduated from Folsom High School. I would have been perfectly happy just staying in my Folsom bubble my whole life. My wife is the dreamer, and she and I had an incredible trip in 2007. We went on a sailboat in the Caribbean for a week with some friends, and we came home from that, and she said, "Man, that was great for a week. Do you think we could do that for a year?" So me, little small town boy, was like, "No, we have young kids. I'm trying to start a career. No, right?" But man, she really wanted it, and the universe conspired to helping us achieve it. So not right away, right? That was in 2007, but in 2018, just to kind of fast forward to the end, and we can dissect along the way if you want. We sold our house, we sold our cars, we decided to homeschool the kids. So we learned about how to become teachers. Neither of us are educators. And we bought that boat and we sailed in the Caribbean for 9 months as a family of five. Our kids were 13, 9, and 6, and lived that dream. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's amazing.
that would not have happened without us being really intentional at the onset to let the universe know that, hey, this is something that we want to see happen, but then to have the determination to kind of see it through for those 10 years. Because it wasn't just, I came home from work one day, just fed up with the rat race and let's go buy a boat. You know, it took a lot of planning and sacrifice, and commitment, to get there. And then those 9 months were amazing, but at the same time, they weren't all pina coladas and hammock swinging kind of lifestyle, right? Like they were hard months as well. But it was a journey that wouldn't have started without that big dream and that statement to the universe.
And that was before COVID, 2018.
Thankfully, yeah, that type of lifestyle, living on a boat and traveling from island to island, would have been impossible during COVID.
I didn't even think. I was thinking on a boat you'll be safe. Of course not. You're going to be hitting all these different places. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's originally what quarantining was about, right? Quarantine, the word starts with quarenta. They wanted sailors to stay offshore for 40 days so they didn't bring to shore, right, in colonial times, whatever they had from the last place. So that's what the Caribbean turned into during COVID, was very isolationist countries and islands that did not want visitors from airplanes, boats, right? And you could say, "Oh, I'm living off the water. I'm living off the, I'm off the grid." But no, as a sailor, you need to go into port. You need to get fuel. You need to get food. You need to get water. So we were really fortunate that our time was 2018 and 2019.
You did it right before. Wow.
What a story.
What Caribbean islands, real quick? I'm curious.
We started in Grenada, which is pretty far south. And we slowly worked our way up the chain. You know, those islands, if you're familiar with the Caribbean, are not oceans apart. You know, most of them are day sails. So, with the exception of a few jumps, we would hop from island to island and slowly made it all the way up to Puerto Rico. So it's about 500 or 600 nautical miles. And then worked our way back down kind of in an accelerated fashion, but then finished in Grenada as well. It's a lot of cool islands all in between.
Oh yeah. That's just great. And your kids, now they get to talk about something that no other kids can even relate to, probably. I mean, that's very cool.
My middle schooler, I had to volunteer at school last week, and he heard about it the morning of, and he said, "Dad, when you're on campus, can you talk to some of my classmates? Because they don't believe me when I said we lived on a boat." So you're right. You know, they can't relate to it so much to a point to where they're like, no, you didn't do that. But no, it's you're right. It's something that our kids won't forget. It's something as a family unit, my hope is that kind of bonds us and keeps us closer as we fan out. I have a college age kid, right? That's off to school, kind of living her own life. But she was 13 on this trip. And I think that experience really galvanized a lot of who who she's becoming now.
Of course. I'm really just adjusting to that. That's really cool. And that's like taking life, taking your own direction and doing it. When you really want something, all the universe conspires to help achieve it. In addition to having it happen before COVID, that was the universe responsible for that. Let's push against.
And just real quick, just to add something, I'm thinking of sharing this with young people in a school setting, this quote, because I think it could really connect with people of all ages, but especially young people. The challenge with this is, since they haven't lived very long, it's hard for them to see the fruits of their labor when they believe in something over an extended period of time.
That's right.
They don't have the capacity to be resilient, make a mistake, but then keep forging ahead. They want to stop, and they don't know the benefits yet of sticking with something. This is probably the greatest challenge as a teacher of young people. This is my 32nd year, Matt, so I have one more year before I'm out of classroom teaching. I've had about 7,000 students, and this is one of like the core truths. It's that resilience and not being, or being able to see through mistakes so that the universe will help you. If Paul is right here, and you can't do that without experience. So anyway, I just wanted to add that as something that's on my mind.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, even as adults, I mean, we live in this culture of instant gratification. Why plan long term when I can have the quick fix now, or what we think is the quick fix? And just speaking from our experience, that 10 years of preparing to take that sailing sabbatical, it helped us in so many other ways beyond seeing the dream through, right? I mean, I'm in real estate. I see shiny new houses every day. It's my job to, help someone buy that big shiny house. But man, had we done that as a family and got sucked into that, we wouldn't have had the means to then cut ties with our home life and go live abroad. So it helped us have a solid financial plan, a family plan. So I think this idea of the universe just bringing something to you, I think it's a little more complicated than that. I think it's the universe almost repelling distractions away from that path that you need to stay on to see your dream through. And we experienced a lot of that in those 10 years.
Of course.
So in the classroom standpoint, Dan, peer pressure, right? Hey, we want to be the cool kid, or we want to seem like we're in the cool group. And I don't pretend to know what school dynamics are now compared to when we were all in school. But, if a kid has a dream, it's something that helps to steer them clear from all those, juvenile temptations that are in their way.
I'm going to take that idea of instant gratification, juvenile temptations, wanting things, and how there's a huge difference in what it is that you're wanting that I think is going to affect whether or not this quote is going to resonate. And this, I think, is a good time to flip the script a little bit and talk about what want means in this quote. When you really want something, all the universe conspires to help achieve it. What if I want a bag of Cheetos? If that's the thing I want, and I really want it, and I don't have money, let's say, and I'm in a grocery store, is the universe going to cooperate with me because I'm addicted to Cheetos So let me, I'm going to open the floodgates of a counterclaim here, and I'll let you guys take it. But it's really, what is it that we're wanting that makes this quote true?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, that's a question.
I mean, I could take a stab at it. I think that the universe wants all of us to make the universe better. So the universe is helping us to achieve it almost out of self-interest. So you getting your bag of Cheetos, is that making the universe a better place? One could argue probably not. Me going on a sailing trip around the world that only serves me, is that making the universe better? Maybe there's a little more gray area there. I never saw my quest as purely selfish. I saw it as something that I was doing for my family, for my wife, certainly for myself. And I don't want to pretend like I'm some inspirational person, but after our experience and sharing it with, the casual acquaintance, they go, "Wow, that's an inspiring story," So am I kind of making the universe better because of what I want or what I wanted? So I think maybe that's the litmus test for me, is the universe will conspire in helping you achieve it if it's helping the universe. Or in The Alchemist, it's the soul of the world. That's kind of what ties everything together. That's the term that's used in that book.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I dropped in an essential question. Yeah, what do you think, Dan?
No, I was just going to go in a different direction with the counterclaim. When you really want something, sometimes the universe conspires against you.
Yeah.
So if you grow up in a family, let's say, that where you're not getting unconditional love, you're not treated the way you need to be treated, there's abuse, there's neglect, there's a lot of the things I deal with as a teacher. When you really get to know your students and the complexity of their family backgrounds, you realize for some, and this could be gender and race and ethnicity is also, are issues. There's a lot stacked against people. And a lot of kids, if I could just stick in the classroom context, they want things in life. They want attention, they want love, they want encouragement, and they sometimes ask the teachers for it. You can feel it. Yet, the universe is conspiring against them at home to get it. But okay, now I'm flipping to the claim. They're getting it from other adults, so they're actually going out into the universe and looking for alternatives. But man, that's hard when you don't get it in the place that you need to get it. And some of them give up, and I get it.
Yeah, it's not all just wish upon a star and now I'm going to get it. Even if it is right and just, if it's more than a bag of Cheetos. So maybe it's not a universal truth, folks that have kids that have been disenfranchised for whatever reason, adults that have been disenfranchised. It feels like more people as of now than late. I don't want to get political on this podcast, but they just feel hopeless. Like the universe is conspiring against me. And there's not a whole lot they feel like they can do to change that. It's a valid point.
When you really want something. Yeah, I'm just in this thought of there's so many things that we want. And okay, some things we get, some things we don't. Some things take longer, some things take shorter. Some things we get and we end up realizing it wasn't even in our best interest after we get it. Sometimes we want something and we don't get it and we're happy. afterwards because it was misguided. To me, this quote is starting to feel most impactful if you have some self-knowledge. And Matt, I would say your decision to go on this trip with your family and the dedication to think about that for 10 years is a pretty good litmus test and measure that this was thought through and reflective, and it actually was chosen, and it was a dedication. It was more than just a flippant want. This was a commitment. Maybe I'll say it like that. The more that the want is a commitment, that is when I can start believing the universe is going to conspire to help. If you're committed to something.
But even then, right, if I would have thought about it for 12 years instead of 10, right, I would have bought this boat, found myself in the Caribbean, and then the complete opposite of what I wanted, which was freedom and simplicity and all these things, are now the opposite because I'm doing it during COVID, you know? So would the world have been conspiring against me in that case?
You would have felt that.
Yeah.
At some point, right?
Yeah. And then the question becomes, do you become bitter because the universe didn't conspire to help you achieve it? The universe felt like it conspired to against you. And that happens in The Alchemist, right? Dan, I don't want to give too much of it away, but his path to his purpose was not a straight line, you know? His first bold step towards following this dream, and it literally was a dream. It was like a recurring vision that he had. He lost all the money he had. It got stolen from him. And the first thing that he was deciding to do is, how do I get back home? Like, well, this was a dumb idea. Why did I even try to do this? You know? And then kind of by chance, he ends up getting back on his feet and slowly making his way towards that dream path again. So, you know, if it's feeling like the universe is conspiring against us, maybe this quote can be used as a form of hope and faith. And maybe, hopefully, that's not like empty of just have, you know, blind optimism. But for me, just speaking my story, it was something that helped me get through when all the stars weren't aligning in our favor to go sailing for a year. Yeah.
That's great.
Maybe it helps with setbacks.
I think a question, Matt, as you were talking about that, and I was processing what you were saying, a question just came over me when you said hope and faith. So maybe a question that comes of this is, how can I establish and sustain hope in my life? You know, it's establish it, start it, but then sustain it despite the setbacks and struggles. There's really two things you got to do. You have to believe and then persevere. Because then the universe will conspire to help you achieve what you need.
There's two types of fuel I've seen in people that keep them going. It's either faith or hate. You know, like those people that want to see me down, I want to prove them wrong, and that's what gets people up in the morning. And I'm not here to say that that's wrong. That's just not what I'm fueled on. So I'm fueled on faith, and what helps me get up in the morning is that the universe is not out to get me. And sometimes it feels like it is, but at the core, I can't allow myself to think that, because then I'm not getting up in the morning. Um, I don't know if that helped, that answers your question partly.
Yeah, I like that.
And you can take credit for some of that, Matt, for the universe not being against you. You know, we all can, because the way we treat people, if we're a good person, if we care about being a good person, karma is what keeps coming up here. You will get
Sure.
things back that you put out to the universe. And I'm thinking of karma now with this quote. When you really want something, all the universe conspires to help achieve it. It's like you put the work in, there's a karmic reaction to you, and you deserve it on some level. I'm
Yeah.
starting to think like that.
And now I'm hopping back to, it really depends on what you want. Because if you want, let's say you want respect from everyone, those people. Everybody's got to respect me. If that's your want, it's going to be very hard for the universe to conspire to help you achieve that because of the different people you will meet in your life, some of whom will not respect you. And that's okay. But if you want, let's say, love and acceptance, maybe that's one you can achieve more. So I'm going back to, this quote is true based on what you want. Just to flip back into that's not really a counterclaim or a claim. It's more of I guess, an observation on this.
And how does my test apply to these questions about wanting? We talk, well, generally we think of the universe as this, at worst ambiguous, or at best altruistic force. But what if it's a self-serving force? What if you think of the universe going, okay, what's in it for me? Is you getting a respect from everybody? Is that serving the universe? Probably not. The Cheeto bag is not. But in the academic world, let's try and keep it focused in there, right? Like bettering
Yeah.
yourself, or getting good grades, or just getting through the end of the semester. Um, you know, you guys can throw more examples out there, but I've never thought of it this way until this discussion. But if we think of the universe as it being a two-way street, what's the universe getting out of your want? And if it's getting something that's generally considered to be a benefit, then maybe that's the test that defines if it's conspiring to help you or not.
So
Yeah.
there's an ethical dimension. The
Yeah.
universe has a moral position, that it sets up as a framework under which you live. So if your wants are aligning with the universe in a way that's helping the world, as you said, then it will help you achieve it. But if it's self-serving or it's in other ways, it won't.
Perhaps. Yeah. I mean, we're just kind of
Maybe.
spitballing here. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
But I could get behind that.
Matt, I wanted to ask, have you ever taught, done any teaching?
One semester at Folsom Lake College, the long-term real estate principles professor was out on medical leave, and they needed a semester fill-in, and I filled in. That's it.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah. I mean, it reinforced uh, a lot of the concepts that I don't want to say take for granted, but just kind of, is embedded in my day-to-day life. I had to make sure I really knew that, right? That if you really want to
Yeah.
test yourself on knowing something, right, you teach it.
There you go.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. Community college students, you run the spectrum of kids who are there because their parents said they had to go somewhere, to
Yeah.
the 30 somethings who are all fired up, right? Because they're there to change their life or change their career. So yeah, all in all, I enjoyed it. But I have not pursued it since, right? That thing kind of fell in my lap. It's not what pays the bills. Um, but if I was asked again, I would consider it.
The reason I ask is that you strike me as a teacher. I don't know if you agree, Dan, but you it seems natural to
I would
you.
agree.
Well, I don't even know what it is that I'm trying to pick
Authenticity,
up on.
authenticity. It's
Authenticity. Yeah,
authenticity.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I appreciate you guys saying that. I'd like to think that there's a lot of teaching in my job, right? I'm a
There
small
is.
business
Yeah,
owner. I lead a sales team. I lead clients through what sometimes are very foreign feeling transactions, right? Buying their first house, selling a house in the middle of a divorce. You know, there's a lot of applications to where you got to take your time and you got to more than just get it done. You have to teach people so they feel
yeah.
confident and empowered about what can be an intimidating real estate transaction. So
Pick up on the
we like to think of
emotional.
ourselves as maybe not teachers, but certainly educating our clients as opposed to just selling them something.
Yeah, yeah. But you pick up on the humanity of people. Like what? It's just some people have it, some people struggle with it, but it's so necessary, regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah,
But I
agreed.
wanted
Yeah.
to ask that just because I picked that up from you.
Yeah. Any other like questions from this? I mean, we did have a few work their way into this. Any question to kind of close it down? We don't even have to answer the questions at the end, Matt. We like to leave the audience with a few so that the conversation continues.
I'm going to stick with the want. That word is the key to this. How do I know what I should want? Some question like that.
How do I
Yeah,
get the universe on my side?
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, yeah. How do I get the universe's buy-in on my want? You know, um, I'm trying to remember the name of the book, but John Maxwell wrote a book, Put Your Dreams to the Test. And he runs through 10 chapters of, hey, is your dream passing the test to come true? And some of them are like obvious ones, right? Are you competent? Do you have the abilities to achieve your dream? But the other ones are, is the dream bigger than you? Um, so, I mean, John Maxwell, he's a great writer.
Yeah.
So anyone listening or the two of you, if you're wrestling with the want, maybe beyond
Maxwell.
us three numbskulls, maybe John Maxwell can point you in the right direction.
I
We can
appreciate that.
start. We can ignite your curiosity, right? To do that, to
Yeah.
get that.
But I think in closing for me, I think I'd want to acknowledge that, you know, there is a lot of unfairness and unjustness in the world, right? So
Yeah.
people are dealt impossible cards. You know, people around the world right now are in war torn uh, countries. So the idea of hey, wanting something and the universe is going to help you, that's impossible to hear
Yeah.
in certain places from where you're coming from, either physically or just mentally where you're at in your life. So
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like this is 100% true 100% of the time for 100% of the people. But
Yeah.
I do think it's something that if it doesn't get you to your dream, it hopefully keeps the flames of a dream alive for a brighter day.
Yeah.
And you'll go through different times in your life when you feel like you can believe in this quote more than
Yeah.
at other times. It's just this roller coaster of despair and happiness and everything in between.
Well
Well,
said.
fantastic. Matt Sundermier, this is really a uh, thoughtful discussion about a really deep topic that, personal dreams, everybody can connect with this, whether you agree with the claim or the counterclaim. It's something that we can all think about. When you really want something, all the universe conspires to help achieve it. Paulo Coelho from The Alchemist. I'm going to read the book. after this discussion.
It's a quick
and I
one.
hope everybody
Everybody should.
that's what some people who've said that.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thanks again, Matt, and thanks to everybody listening out there, and hope you enjoy this episode. Take care.
Thanks to you both.